you. They're all silk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They started out, I just bought different silk flowers when I found them that I liked them, and I stuffed them all in one vase to hold. And they never got moved.
Is everybody ready?
Excellent.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order tonight's meeting of Bellbrook City Council. Today's date is Monday, March 22nd, 2021. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for
for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God, indivisible, with
Liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for all.
all. Thank you. Pam, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hoke,
Here.
Mr. Havens,
Here.
Dr. Van Veldhuizen,
Here, ma'am.
Mr. Greenwood,
Here.
Mrs. Middlestetter,
Here.
Mr. Edwards,
Here.
Mayor Schweller.
Here. Thank you. Everyone should have before them the minutes of the March 8th regular meeting. Does anyone have any changes or correction to those minutes?
None here.
Seeing and hearing none, I declare the minutes approved as submitted. Under mayor's announcements and special guests tonight, we have oath of office for Tim Tuttle and also the planning and zoning annual report. Is Tim Tuttle here?
Yes, I'm here.
And is he ready?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Tim, if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Tim Tuttle,
I, Tim Tuttle,
solemnly swear that I will support
solemnly swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and I will obey the laws thereof,
and I will obey the laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
in all respects, uphold and enforce
uphold and enforce
the provisions of the Charter
the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinances of Bellbrook,
and the ordinances of Bellbrook,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Tim's term expires 12/31/2025, and Tim, thanks for your service. Volunteers like you make the boards go round and round and give the city a ton of help, and we appreciate your involvement.
Well,
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you. On.
And I will sign this document. I'll get it back to Pam, and Pam will give you a call, and you can come and pick up the official oath. And you'll need to sign it as well.
I will do that.
All right, thanks a lot. Congratulations. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
And that's all for tonight, Pam, correct? Okay, good. Thanks. Next up on the agenda is the Planning and Zoning Annual Report. Ms. Hanson.
Jessica, I'm gonna get this started real quick.
Okay,
So give me just a second to share screen and then you will be able to go.
okay.
There we go. Sorry for the delay. Go ahead, Jessica.
Okay, thank you guys for having me today. So today I'm going to present to you the 2020 Planning and Zoning Annual Report. In 2020, we had 168 zoning permits, 10 variance requests, 9 soil erosion permits, 2 special event permits, and 1 zoning amendment request. The total permits for the year was 190, or 65.2% more than the previous year. If you look at the graph of the National Association of Home Builders, you will see that June through September, the price of lumber jumped. If you were to plot the permits last year in a similar fashion, I believe it would correlate well with this graph. A frequent question we got from other zoning administrators was actually if Bellbrook was as busy as they were, and the same thing with contractors too. So that was pretty common last year. It was a pretty busy year for permitting. So, and for fees, we collected $6,894 in fees, $5,004 of which were zoning permits, $900 from variance permits, $990 from soil erosion permits, and $50 from special event permits. I think this really shows the inadequacy of the former fee schedule. The new one, I believe, starts in June, or will take effect in June. And while fees aren't really there to recuperate all the staff's, I guess, work, I guess it needs to reflect it in some manner. Variances take a lot of time, and on the variances. So if you look at this slide, you'll notice that there were 9 variance requests in the previous slide. There it says there was 10 variance requests. That's because I grouped a conditional use request with the variance request because there was really no other place to put it. So we had 2 for height of projecting sign, 1 for a corner lot, and 6 for oversized garages. So with the oversized garages, that was the most common request. The mean square footage of the oversized garage request was 1,084 square feet and a median of 1,200 square feet. So the boards met 47% more in 2020 than in 2019. I think you can see that here. And they met 56% more times in 2020 than in 2018. That's partially due to the more permits being requested and also the variance requests. 50 total complaints were made in 2020, 38 of which were resolved, 12 which were unresolved. Some of those have been resolved this year. 32 grass violations, all of which were resolved. So with property maintenance, this is one of the key things I want to try to get down a little bit better this year. Because of last year of being so slammed with permits, it didn't get as much attention, and I really hope to really tackle this better this year. So in 2020, so we obviously had code updates. We had Article 14, Article 1820B, RV and commercial vehicles, abandoned property registration, property maintenance code, subdivision regulations, and we updated the fee schedule, as well as a small section of fees and the lot split combo and engineering fee. Most of these are actually with the lawyer already. And I believe property maintenance code, that's pending one, not property maintenance code, sorry. We have also accessory structure, which will have one update here soon, and that'll be going to the lawyer as well. So it's moving along. It may not seem like it is, but it is moving along. So, and this next table on this page is, Pam created this table. This is a really good example of where everything's at and how it works. And this is a great table that she created.
And I think that we are going to keep this up also, and we will provide this on a quarterly basis, kind of like we do with the financials. We will include this just because there is so much work going on, and I think it's good to keep council updated on that.
So with the floodplain, we had 4 special flood hazard area permits applied for in 2020. We had information regarding the floodplain placed in the newsletter. The tentative final approval of the new maps is June 28th of 2020. There will also be changes, I believe, to the text, and FEMA will be reaching out to individual municipalities in the coming months. So I expect to hear from them at some point. So, and that'll be an update to the zoning code as well. So 8 houses are currently being constructed, 6 in Highview Terrace and 2 in Winter Haven. There was $23,473 in bonds collected and processed. The average house size was 2,631 square feet, with the extreme of those being 4,440 square feet, and I believe the lowest being around 1,400 square feet. We had 11 compliance permits applied for in 2020, and that number seems sort of low to me, and I believe that's probably because of COVID. Generally, with a new business, we also get sign requests, and then we'd also have the village review board meeting. So some of the, if you notice, some of these didn't actually come to fruition. Francis Kennels didn't purchase 119 East Franklin. That ended up being the Pretech group, and Not Your Average Massage. They were just moving buildings, and that ended up not happening. So, but we got Verona's Pizza. If you haven't had Verona's Pizza, it's actually really good. So some miscellaneous tasks. So we went through and organized all of Eileen's files. They were pretty rough. She just didn't really have a filing system. She kept all of her paperwork and stuff, and I love her for that because that's perfect. And we went through and labeled all the planning and zoning maps for quicker searching, organized the special flood hazard area permits. There was kind of, when I first started here, I couldn't get a grasp of where it started and ended. So I kind of wanted to get that really together. We updated all the permits to have call to dig and other information, as well as emails. Frequently, people would ask me how am I going to reach out to them, and I usually send them an email as well as mail them the permit. We worked on the EV charging grant. That did not, obviously happen, but that is a thing that we worked on. And we completed the 2020 Census Complete Count Committee. So actually, if you compare the census numbers to the 2010 census, we are above the number of people counted, which is good because that means the Greene County will get more funding available to them from the government. And we help represent Bellbrook in Greene County's land use plan update. I believe that's it.
Jessica, thanks for the nice report. And this is the first time we went through it. Just curious on the FEMA floodplain. Do we know if this is going to remove houses from the floodplain or add to it? I know that was a big thing a couple years ago, probably last time they looked at it.
Both.
As far as those houses that could get outside of the FEMA flood insurance.
Both. It'll be both.
Have the folks that are going to be added to it, are they aware of it?
So FEMA, I believe, will send out notices. As far as creating a list, I'd have to do some geographic information systems things with that, because we don't have like a direct list without creating like a clip or something in GIS. So I'd have to do that myself. So
It'd probably be worthwhile to track the folks that are at least going to be added to it because they're going to have an increased expense on their insurance.
yeah,
And I'm certain they're going to call you up with questions on it and wonder why it happened and how it came about like that. I know it's outside of our control, but I know last time they did it, it was kind of back and forth, and some folks were happy and a lot of folks were not.
So yeah, that's something I can do. It shouldn't be too hard because we have the old data and the new data. So I can do that pretty soon actually, and then get a letter out to people.
Okay, thanks.
Jessica, are those maps available on the GIS now, the old and the new?
They're available on FEMA's website.
Only on FEMA's, okay.
The GIS, when I'm referencing desktop GIS, not Greene County's GIS.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to take a look at those as well. Is there an easy way to get to them?
You can actually access it through our website. We have a couple of links. So if you go to cityofbellbrook.org, there's a floodplain section under planning and zoning. And if you, I believe there's a link that will take you directly to there, and you can compare, if you put in an address, it'll compare what's there versus what might be there or might not be there. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other
really
questions?
Appreciated the report.
What?
I said I really appreciated the report. Sorry.
Oh, thank you.
Mayor.
Any other questions or comments for Jessica?
I'd like to thank Jessica for the good report. I think it's well done and sorely needed. And it shows just how much hard work you've been doing. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Forrest.
Anything else? I would just like to thank Jessica Ford. This is the first time we've done that. I thought it was a very good presentation. It's kind of interesting on the activities that took place the last year. I never quite realized that the permits were up that much. So you guys did keep busy.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of happy to see Article 14 moving down the path. That'll be before council at some point in time. And that is something that I attended the Zoom meeting when you guys talked about it. It's very comprehensive. It's in substantial need of an overwrite or a rewrite.
Yeah.
But it's certainly a very significant ordinance for the operations of the city. So it'll be an important activity for council to focus on.
Yep.
Jessica, nothing else. Thanks again, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We have no public hearings tonight. We do have an introduction of an ordinance number 2021-4. Deputy Mayor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 2021-4, an ordinance amending ordinance 2021-4 to adjust the City of Bellbrook's appropriations for 2021. Whereas the city of Bellbrook adopted the 2021 annual budget based on the best information available at the time, and whereas additional costs will occur in some line which requires the amendment of various appropriation levels. Now therefore, the city of Bellbrook hereby ordains Section 1 that the 2021 appropriation levels and several of the funds listed below be amended as follows. So the 2021 appropriations total $7,415,084. Okay, there's other expenses that total $30,950 for a total amended 2021 appropriations of $7,446,034. Section 2, it is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of this council concerning and relating to the adoption of the ordinance were adopted in an open meeting of this council, and that any and all deliberations of this council that resulted in such formal actions were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including but not limited to Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. Section 3, that this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period provided by law. It looks like, Melissa, the two categories that have the increase in expenses are street funds and motor vehicle fund. Maybe you touched on this, but maybe you can tell me or tell us what that actually was.
So this supplemental appropriation came on the heels of the last council meeting where I believe it was the service committee. I always get service and safety confused, so if I have that twisted, I apologize. But these came from the recommendation of the associated committee for the council goals. And the $12,950 is the engineer's work to do preliminary plans and cost estimates for the sidewalk and crosswalk connections. And then the $18,000 coming from the motor vehicle fund is that's also known as the permissive tax fund. And we have 5 roads, streets that are part of the permissive, or that we are allowed to use permissive tax funds for. And one of those is Little Sugar Creek. And so that $18,000 is to do the additional borings and study of that road. So that's what those 2 items are. It's 2 individual expenses coming from both of those funds.
Thank you.
Any questions or discussion with regards to ordinance 2021-4? Hearing none, can I have a motion for ordinance 2021-4?
I'll make a motion to approve 2021-4.
Thanks, Nick. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dr. Dave.
A motion was made by Mr. Edwards to introduce ordinance 2021-4, an ordinance amending ordinance 2021-3 to adjust the city of Bellbrook appropriations for 2021. This was seconded by Dr. Van Veldhuizen. Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Dr. Van Veldhuizen,
Yes.
Mr. Hoke,
Yes.
Mr. Havens,
Yes.
Mr. Greenwood,
Yes.
Mrs. Middlestetter,
Yes,
Mayor Schwaller.
Yes. Thank you, Pam. We have no resolutions this evening, but we do have old business, the levy timeline for the general fund renewal. City Manager Dodd, please.
Okay, I am sharing the screen just so that everybody can see this. This information is also in the packet, but the last city council meeting, we had talked about the general fund, the 1.3 mil general fund levy for current expenses will be expiring in 2022. So we have 3 opportunities to put that on the ballot, with the first being the November 2021 ballot. And so that was the date that was decided by council in order to put this levy on. So the process and the associated timeline are listed in this document. So the first piece of legislation will be a resolution of necessity, and that will need to be passed in June. So the first meeting in June, we will have that. That goes on to the county auditor, and they will certify the rates or amount. And then we will need to pass a resolution to proceed in July. And then once that resolution is passed in July, we will take our resolution of necessity, the auditor certification, and the resolution to proceed, those 3 documents, and we will file that with the Board of Elections at least 90 days prior to the election, which would be August 4th. So the resolution to proceed, doing that in July, gives us plenty of time, if we do it at the first meeting, to be able to have everything filed by the August 4th deadline for the November 2nd, 2021 ballot. So we would then get back from the Board of Elections the ballot language to review. We would approve the sample ballot, and then we would be good to go for the November 2nd election. So just so that everybody can just kind of understand what's coming down the road, the different things that will need to be done, and actions by council in order to facilitate that. So that is the update on the levy timeline for the November ballot.
Melissa, I think last time we did a levy, we had a levy committee. Do we still need to do that? We got someone from the community to kind of run it?
I know that council had talked about that at the last meeting. That's definitely something that I can look into. I did not pull that information from the last time that there was a committee, but I can do that, and I can reach out to those people to see if they would be interested in assisting again.
And again, we got to think about funding if we're going to try to get some signage and some of those type things as well. So it's all the challenges that lay ahead. Any questions or comments on the city manager with regards to the levy timeline?
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Melissa. New business, the American Rescue Plan funding. And this is big numbers and a big allocation to Bellbrook and a lot of other communities. It's startling to me, but go ahead, Melissa.
Okay, so this, I'm going to start this by saying that this is in the very early stages of the formation. So as we saw with the CARES Act funding, that was a evolution of sorts in terms of the guidance and just how the funding was going to be used, funding being redistributed. I mean, it was ever changing, to say the least, and it required a lot of oversight in order to make sure that you were staying up to date and that the guidance was being followed and that you were doing everything the right way. So, and following the deadlines, which I think everybody remembers, I had to put through a supplemental appropriation as an emergency measure because we got redistributed funding and we didn't know that we were going to. And then we had to spend it, and we had to have it all spent. And 3 days before the deadline, they extended it a year. So you just never know what's going to happen. So I do not expect this to be any different. So I hope that it is, but I'm very cautious with this. So on March 11th, President Biden signed a $1.9 trillion relief bill into law. And so this is going to allocate $350 billion to states, counties, cities, and tribal governments. One thing that I found out today in an email from the Greene County Auditor is the townships were not included in this. So that is something that could change, but as of right now, townships are not included in this. So there is a document that has been put out along with a spreadsheet that shows what every single community in the entire United States that's eligible, and the figures that it's actually a range of figures that they could expect to receive. So when I looked up Bellbrook, and I do have the link here for people that are interested in looking just to see what some others are getting. It is really interesting information. So they give a range associated with Bellbrook for easy figures. It's going to be between 1.3 and 1.6 million that we will expect to receive. So that still has not been pinpointed yet, but that money will come in 2 different waves. So the first wave would be 60 days after the signing of the bill, which was March 11th. So 60 days after March 11th, we would expect to receive half of our allocation. And then the second half would be 1 year after the, I don't know if it's the bill date or if it's the first allocation date, but it's approximately 1 year later we would get the rest of it. So funds must now be spent by the end of calendar year 2024. So we do have additional time in which to spend the money. And the use of funds is really the big thing. Even in the county auditor's email to us, it said that, you know, the guidance will be created by the Treasury, and it's still being created. So there's no target date that I'm aware of in terms of when this will be available. And I'm very cautious when that first guidance does come out to spend any money. So I think that this is going to take a lot of thought, a lot of planning, and, you know, patience with the guidance that's going to come out and likely change as it evolves. So there are 4 different areas in which you can use the funds that are currently broadly spelled out. The first is obviously responding to the public health emergency with respect to the pandemic. This is actually something that would be able to serve as a revenue replacement for entities that did have gaps in their revenues. Fortunately, we did not realize any major gaps, mostly because we are not reliant on an income tax, which is where a majority of the municipalities took a big hit. Property taxes were unaffected for the most part in our community, which was good. So that's the first thing that they can, that the money can be used for. The second is to respond to workers performing essential work. So you could give premium pay to eligible workers. You could provide grants to employers that had essential workers. The third is, this is the revenue reduction part. I actually jumped ahead. So you could use this for revenue reduction. CARES Act money was not eligible for revenue reduction, or a reduction in revenue. A lot of the local governments were really upset that did see dips in their revenue as a result of the pandemic and the CARES Act money not being able to be used towards that. So this can be used towards that, which is a big difference from the last wave of funding. And number 4, which I think is probably where we will want to really take a good, hard, long look at use of the funding that we receive. And this is to make necessary investments in water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure. So depending on what the final guidance looks like, we could look at some areas in town to be able to replace aging water main, kind of like what we did up in the Upper Hillside. That was a very expensive project that had to be funded by way of loan. So that might be something that is worth looking into. So I've already talked to our service director, and I said, you know, if there are any projects that are water related that really bubble up to the surface, you know, just kind of keep a running list of those. And as all of this shakes out, we'll kind of evaluate what's out there and what we might want to do. So in conclusion, this is still in the very early stages. This is something that I want to be very patient with and make sure that whatever it is that we use that money towards is invested smartly and is invested well. And I'll just have to keep everybody posted. So we should be getting the first half of that money, which will indicate what the total will be in the next month and a half at this point, maybe a little bit more. So I will keep council updated on that, but this is big. So that's my update on that.
Thanks, Melissa. And if you do get a chance, go to that website. It is unbelievable, the money. Beaver Creek's gonna get 9.3 million. Xenia gets 5, Greene County 32 million, Montgomery County 103 million. I mean, the numbers are big. I did not see any townships or your comments. Maybe that'll come out of the Greene County inclusion amount. And think broad on this. Maybe we could put in some little Sugar Creek on some of this water if possible. I don't know. That seems like it's reaching a little bit, but you never know. And these rules, I mean, for the government CARES Act spending, I mean, the frequently asked questions come out all the time and they change literally almost weekly, and they get more questions asked. They have more guidance, and it's been for the PPP money and some of those things, it's been very problematic to identify what's in and what's out of bounds. So watch it close, Melissa. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Question on that. Do we know the math behind what money we're getting? Is it based on population?
Based on the 2019 census.
Okay.
They're using a community development block grant funding model for this. So that's what they're using.
Okay.
Well, we'll look forward to the receipt of the money. Next up, selection of city council representative for the Parks Commissioner process. Melissa, can you give us an update on where we're at with this? We've got a new position opening or replacement?
Yes, so I couldn't remember if I had provided a document for that or not, which I didn't. So I'll go ahead and stop that. Okay, so this is gonna come about every year. Each year, so the Parks District has 3 commissioners, and each year they have somebody that rolls or that comes up. So it's 3-year terms, 3 commissioners. Each year somebody's term expires. And so the appointment is in May and it goes through the courts. So as everybody remembers or might remember, I'll try to jog your memory, we did an MOU between the Parks District, the township, and us to always ensure that there is representation from both the city and the township on the commissioners, within the commissioner seats. So it has to be at least 1 Bellbrook, 1 township, and then the 3rd position can obviously go either way. So there is a position that is up, and what they have done is they have put up notice to solicit interest from community members. In the last that I knew, they had 2 folks that had expressed interest. So I just need to know who is going to participate in that interview and selection process. So last time it was Barry, Tiffany, and actually they had each of their trustees, I believe, rotated in and out. And that wasn't exactly the best way to go about it because you didn't really have one person that saw everybody. And then it was myself and Councilman Havens that participated last year. So it will always be Barry and I, and then there's the opportunity for a council member to participate. So I just need to know who would like to participate in that so that I can pass that information on to the park so that when the interviews are scheduled in the next couple weeks that we know who's going to be assisting with that. So
I would like to continue that if that's all right with the rest of council.
Does anyone else want to do it too, or anyone different or new, or
Well, I
Back
was
up.
looking at that too.
you would like to do as well? Just the 2 of you?
Do you need only a certain number? I mean, I can be an alternate, or if it's unlimited, count me in.
Well, I think
just
we
from
picked,
the coordination of schedules, it was the way that we did it last year. It was just 1 person from each, 1 elected official from each entity, I should say. That's how we did it last year.
The way the MOU is worded is that there'll be 2 from the parks, 2 from the city, 2 from the township. And so the way we tackled it last year was Melissa and I for our 2. And the commissioner Tisher reached out to me probably 2 weeks ago, and Carolyn to Stephanie, and expressed concern that last year the township had switched out people, and he didn't think that was right. And Carolyn and I both committed to making sure that we had the same person at all the interviews. So if we can hold to that commitment, I think that would be important to the folks and be fair to
Absolutely.
the applicants.
Well, we got 2 people that want to do it. Want to just have a vote? Can we have nominations? I'll open the floor for nominations for the park.
I'll go ahead and nominate.
Council representative.
I'll go ahead and nominate Elaine.
I'm sorry, I was talking. You were talking.
I'm sorry. I thought you were asking for nominations. I'll go ahead and nominate Elaine Middlestetter.
Okay, can we have a second for Elaine? I'll second Elaine. Any other nominations?
I'll back out. It's okay.
Okay.
I'll make
Anybody
it
else? Seeing only one name being nominated. Elaine, you're the person.
Let me know when.
We'll let Melissa hook you up with it and go forward with that.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Goes along with community affairs, I think.
I think so too, to be honest with you. Yeah, Ernie did it last time. It's good to get a couple different people looking at the representation out there. Okay, Melissa, city manager report.
Okay, we had the planning and zoning annual report. I thought that went really well. I hope that was helpful for everybody. Definitely welcome to any feedback since that was the first one. So if there's anything that you guys would like more information on, or something that maybe was not included that you would like information on, just let me know and I'll make sure that that's included in the next annual report. But thank you to Jessica. She did a great job. And that was her first time presenting to council, and I thought that she did excellent. So kudos to the hard work that she's put in. She's just at, I believe, 14 or 15 months with the city now, and she's really hit the ground running and been able to accomplish a lot. So I know that a lot of it has not funneled to council yet, just because a lot of the code updates have been very extensive and have required legal review, of course, to make sure that everything that we're doing is up to snuff, so to speak. And so you guys will be very busy with lots of legislation for code updates. I do promise you that. Reopening of city buildings with the pandemic on the downward trend finally, and vaccines much more widely available as of right now, I believe. 16 and up, I think, is happening real soon. So with that being said, city buildings will reopen to the public on Monday, April 5th at 8:30 a.m. So we really have not been operating any differently, with the exception of just the buildings are just by appointment only, so that we can try to manage that. Lots of staff in the office building, or in the city building at least, were able to work from home. I do plan to remain flexible with that, just because we are set up to do that. So I know that it's been over a year that people have been doing that, and they've been doing it very well. So if somebody is, has something else going on, where maybe they've got something that they need extra focus and they want to work from home, I definitely plan to still allow staff to do that, because it really has been beneficial, and they've remained quite productive. So, but city buildings will reopen to the public Monday, April 5th. Our annual water quality report is now out. It's available on our website, and it will be sent out. I don't think the full report is. I think that just the link is sent out on all of the utility bills. So it is important to note that on that water quality report, rates are part of it. And this is the 10th straight year of no water rate increases, which I think is very, very awesome and worth noting. Our fire and police have received the Lexipol Gold Level recognition for 2020. So each year Lexipol gives out awards of excellence for their policy maintenance and training. And so that just shows that our police and fire are, you know, getting into Lexipol, reading and working on those kind of quizzes that I believe that both chiefs had mentioned in their annual report. So they both received a gold level of recognition. So they will be getting a plaque from Lexipol that will be proudly displayed in each of their spaces. Our April newsletter is at the printer and will hit mailboxes around April 1st. So that will be coming out. The Brook Mills 10K and Be Well Bellbrook are both scheduled to, they happen at the same time and they are complementary to one another. That will be Saturday, August 21st. So it will be that morning. And the race starts at 7:30, I believe. And the Be Well Bellbrook event will go from 8 to noon. We'll have a food truck, we'll have fitness demos, we'll have health and wellness related vendors. Obviously, I'm going to work with the health department in order to make sure that both things will be able to happen, but we are hopeful at this point that they will be able to happen as things are starting to roll back. So we are cautiously approaching that as if the show will go on. So I'm excited for that. The registration for the race will actually open on April 5th. So that's going to happen here soon. So it sold out its first year and brought about 400 runners to downtown Bellbrook, which is awesome. So we are hoping to at least get that 400 and maybe a few more too. So that's exciting stuff. The farmers market is going to return in June, second and fourth Saturday of the month from 9 a.m. to noon at the city building parking lot again. So this is going to be headed up by Bellbrook by Design. They are going to organize that and run it this year. So I passed the torch off to them. So big thank you to Bellbrook by Design and Pam Cook of Iron Gate Realtors. She has really she's really done an awesome job with trying to take that over. And she shadowed with me last year quite a bit. So she knows fully what to do. And I am very thankful for that, to continue under her guidance. The 2020 financial statements and audit. So financial statements are still being compiled. We have until May to file those with the state. But the bulk of the audit testing was completed the week of March 8th. They were on site for 2.5 days and went through everything, including all of our CARES spending, and found no issues, which is always a huge sigh of relief. So Julian and Grube is our firm that has been completing our audit. Is a number of council members will remember the state of Ohio used to do it, and various municipalities will come up on a list to be able to farm out their audits. And it's pretty much the best thing that could ever happen to a city, because the state auditors would camp out. My first year here with Bellbrook, I think that they were there for like 2 months. I don't know why, but they don't have their own space, so they find a nice comfy space and they come and they hang out. So they were there for like 2 months, and that was really hard because you've got auditors there and it's just hard to just go about your normal day when that happens. So Julian and Grube, like I said, 2.5 days in, out, taken care of. It was great. So once the financial statements are filed, then they will do a little bit more testing on those actual statement figures, and then they will be done. So hopefully I'll have good news soon. So that's it for me.
Thanks, Melissa. Any questions of the city manager?
Just one, Mayor, wondering with the city buildings opening, and I seem to remember we put some work into the council chambers, dividers and so on. Are you all thinking of going back to in-person council?
Yeah, I would think so. I think we're gonna go and maybe poll everybody to make sure everybody's comfortable and maybe think about sometime, maybe our second meeting in April, something like that. The only thing is, you gotta be careful because we're seeing an outbreak of the COVID at my place of employment, and it was very quiet for a while. And it seems like it's kind of ticked up a little bit right now, so.
Thank you, sir.
On that same subject, makes sense to assume people will be vaccinated. Um, I don't know if that's an issue or not with people. I've started my vaccine.
I'm done.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be vaccinated by that time. I've had one dose. I've not had the second shot yet. I know they've opened it up quite a bit right now, so I think a lot more are going to get vaccinated in the next, upcoming weeks.
Yeah, if I may, on the humor side of things, it seemed to be telling our age here who might have been vaccinated first or not. But I'm with you. I've got one shot and got the other one.
There you go. There you go. What does everyone think about going back to City Hall? Was there any opposition to that? Want to talk about it privately, or do we want to just have a quick straw poll to see once?
Okay, I just have one point. We're still working on getting the computer system that we use to video record in the chamber. That at the present time is still not working. So we're supposed to be meeting the beginning of April to look into getting that fixed. So until that's fixed, it is difficult for us to.
This is that channel 5 that's not working properly right now. Okay, yeah, well then obviously we'll have to wait for that to come together, but
Just wait,
keep us updated.
Maybe look till May instead of April.
Yeah.
That system crashed, and so Greg Narker is one of our fire lieutenants, and the cable channel and the associated computer hardware has been gifted to him, and he's worked on it for a number of years. So it actually crashed. It crashed. I don't know how long ago it crashed, but he finally got the quote. And so Pam and I are going to sit down with Greg, and we're going to look at the quote and try. I mean, it's hefty. It's like 15 grand is the quote right now to fix it. So yeah, so it's something that we want to wrap our heads around. And then we've got to figure out how long it would take to get it back up and running. So just so everybody knows, I believe, Pam, it's totally blanking me, but I think it's June or July is when the state had actually allowed for meetings to remain virtual.
Yeah, the end of June.
So we are legal until at least the end of June. So we do know that. So
Zoom is a lot cheaper than $15,000.
So we're still trying to understand it.
Okay, we'll wait to hear further from you guys on the guidance on where that situation goes. Thanks. Any other questions of the city manager?
Is Louis going to be back?
Yes.
Good. I miss Louis.
I know. We all miss you.
Any other questions? Moving on to committee reports. Service.
Thank you, Mayor. Not a whole lot. Asphalt plants are supposed to open up the 1st of April, and the service department will be able to get some real good asphalt patch and fill holes. They're also in process getting water mains where they were replaced, fixing yards. There's some snow plow divots and things they're going to be working on. They asked the public if they do have divots and repairs needed in their yards and things to be patient. They will get done. And and like I say, between the weather, then the plant's not open until the 1st of April, and then topsoil is another one that they have to be able to get. But they're working on it.
Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you. Safety.
Yeah, nothing specific. I just wanted to add, after I had a call to the fire department, they came to my house for an issue that I reported on last meeting, I think. I received a survey, a follow-up survey, and I just wanted to commend Chief Bizarro for the diligence. I'm sure he sends those surveys out to everybody who interacts with the fire department. So I'm sure that's valuable feedback, and I appreciated that. That is all I have.
Thanks, TJ. Nick, finance and audit.
Nothing from finance or audit tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Elaine, community affairs.
Nothing on community affairs tonight.
Thank you. Pam, clerk update.
I actually have nothing for to report this week. So
When do we think we'll get Article 14 to start looking at?
it is with the lawyer. So, and I think, didn't we were just looking at that, and I think we sent it to the lawyer. It was like the 20th of or 22nd of January. So, but it is very lengthy. So not quite sure how long that one's going to take.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Brings us to open discussion of council. We'll start alphabetically. Forrest.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. I am our representative for Miami Valley Regional Planning. Some of the things at the last meeting, they brought up driving while texting is starting to overcome DUIs. Their state and the planning commission's trying to figure out ways to try to curb that. I think everybody knows what we're talking about. I'm guilty a little bit of that. It's something that we need to take seriously. And there's a lot of transportation type road projects in the area that'll be starting this summer. One of them is a section of road between Centerville Station, or no. I was just going to bring up the fact that as we go forward and in the region, we maybe in the future or this time try to identify maybe some future issues with roads and traffic. I was just thinking about Wilmington Pike between 725 and Centerville Station Road. That's going to in the future be heavily traveled, I'm sure, as development goes out that way. There's hills and curves and all kinds of things. Just something to think about. We do have representation at the Miami Valley Regional Planning. And I had Pam sent out on the Regional Planning and Coordinating Commission meeting I went to. They have a project that's going to be talked about, try to make decisions and trying to find out how the public feels about it. It's a solar farm. And one of the things that we do have, we're able to make comments on any project in Greene County through them, even though it's not here on us. We all have an opportunity to look at those projects and make comments. So anything that someone hears about, like this one, if you like it, if you don't like it, we can make comments. The solar farm entails quite a bit of real estate. Solar farms may be something that our zoning, we may want to look at if we want to, for aesthetic reasons or something like that, look at. There's possible places that could happen. I just want to let everybody know that those commissions, we do have some say, and anything that anybody reads about or knows about that they do want to comment, we have that power. So, and that's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks, Forrest. Ernie?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to really offer a big thank you to Jessica for taking the time to lay all that out. It was very insightful. I appreciate everything she does for the city. And I can see by the report it's a lot. Outside of that, I am our representative for the Greene County Regional Planning Commission, and we all seen it at the last city leaders meeting, but as far as the community being aware of it, there is another development going on by Sugar Creek Township off of Clio, right across from the Five Seasons, about 60 homes in there. I certainly voiced our city's concern during that meeting about the runoff of the water into Little Sugar Creek. They asked me where I would like it to go. I told them the Miami River. Not sure that's going to work out, but definitely watched definitely some social media exchanges over the last couple of weeks about them people thinking it's the city developing. So I just wanted to clear that up. It's a township development. And that's all I've got, Mayor.
Good point, Ernie. And I did watch one of the meetings on that, and it's kind of an interesting development. And I think, Melissa, I think we're tuned into what's going on over there. We have to watch it very close because there's also a concern that when they do this cut line, they're going to build some sort of a swale. And I think if we're not careful, some of that water is going to be in the city backyards of the houses on, I know it's off Locust Bend or Possum Run back in that area. So we need to watch real close to make sure that our citizens don't get a lot of excess water in their backyards from the new development.
And they
Our
will.
engineers have been, have looked at the plans and have offered commentary in regards to stormwater and things like that. So we've definitely been involved.
They will tie into one of our streets as well. Is that correct, Melissa? Do you recall?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I think one of the streets over there in that development.
It's Kensington Drive between Possum Run.
Yeah.
It's just like 2 blocks long from
Yeah.
Possum Run over to the Harry's property.
Yeah.
I nice to see patio homes going in, but 400,000 starting price?
Very small lots too, but
Well,
okay.
people who own patio homes don't want big yards because it's usually retired people.
All right. Anything else, Ernie? Okay. TJ?
Yeah, it was just mentioned in the community leaders meeting that Sugar Creek Township is going to have a community cleanup day on April 10th. I know it's short notice, but I'll reach out to Ryan, see about what we need to do to help out, engage there, and divvy up our roads, some areas that need just some little TLC after a rough winter.
Yeah, make sure we keep Melissa involved in the whole thing.
Absolutely. It sounds like Sugar Creek Township, I don't know, any idea how many years they've done this kind of thing?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it seems like they've got some infrastructure built up around it. I was just asking, hey, if we could pass out some trash bags and commit to pick up anything that's filled up left on a couple roads that we designate, but they're much more organized. So we'll see what we can do for this year.
Okay, thanks, TJ. Elaine?
Yeah, I've already put my 2 cents in.
Thanks. Dr. Dave Van Veldhuizen?
Thank you, Mayor, very much. And first of all, to all of you, thank you for the excusal. Last meeting, I was traveling for the Air Force out of state. So I did watch on YouTube. The quality's pretty decent. I wanted to say, Mayor and City Manager, I thought the community leader meeting we had was very valuable, just tracking information from these other groups that surround us that we interrelate with. And I look forward to that continuing. And then the only other thought that occurs to me worth mentioning tonight, I know Melissa will let us know when the particulars about the new COVID funding, the CARES money becomes available. I hope we are able to use some of that for some lasting change in the community. I was very pleased last time, with the money we got, we were able to help a couple of the, like the Community Resource Center. And I hope that that is allowable again, because I know that's a windfall that's not going to come often to keep small efforts that serve a lot of our citizens open. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dave. Deputy Mayor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. I have some breaking news. Congratulations to the women's basketball team at Wright State. They won their first tournament game ever tonight against number 4 Arkansas. So
Wow.
Nice achievement. Arkansas is the only team that beat the number 1 seed UConn. So quite accomplishment for the Wright State women. That's all I have.
Thanks, Nick. I don't have anything in particular, but just echo Dr. Dave's comments about the community meeting. I've been through several of those before. Tonight seemed to be one that was rather productive. It sure seems like there's a lot of activity going on in the area, especially in the township with a lot of new development. Seems like a lot of expensive homes are being built. Melissa, on the CARES Act money, or I guess the Rescue Act money, we'll watch it close and see what we can do and stretch as much as we can. And I really think we learned a little lesson from before that we should hang on to that money for a while until these new guidelines or new guidance comes out, because it seemed like they changed pretty dramatically in the CARES Act from not allowing any first responder to the bulk of most cities' money went to first responders. So other than that, I have nothing further, and I appreciate Jessica's report. It's nice to hear from all of our city staff to kind of keep us in the loop on what's going on. I literally had no idea how busy they were as far as number of permits based on prior year. That's all I have. Does anyone in the viewing audience have anything to bring before council tonight? Seeing none, does any member of council have any more business to bring before us this evening?
Mayor, I just wanted to make a comment about the meeting that I forgot to say. Would it be beneficial to maybe have a meeting with the township in between the meetings with all 4? We are pretty close to the township. They both have a lot going on. I don't know if that would make sense. I just want to throw that out there.
I would be open to that. Maybe Melissa, you can mention to Barry to see if they would. Again, the township only has 4 people, so it's pretty easy to get that group together, I would think. And then we can always bring in 3 or 4 people too. Once we exceed 4, is it, Pam, that we become a quorum? Then it becomes an official work session, et cetera. And if we're less than 4, then it's a little different type meeting from our standpoint.
What would be the purpose of meeting in between? Because the communications go back and forth on things that are in works. What would be the purpose of getting everybody together?
I was just thinking that, Parks District, we have more in common with the township than we do the other 2 groups. And moving forward, touching base, I thought might be beneficial.
Yeah, I agree with you, Forrest. I definitely think that that's a good idea. One of the things that I think kind of slipped through the cracks was just in the last quarter, the township deciding to create a veterans memorial. And I found out that through the chamber meeting. I reached out to the township and I said, hey, we have a veterans memorial in the city. Would there be a chance we could, extend a welcome to potentially putting that statue in Petricus Park? I mean, we're all kind of one community when it comes to the parks because it's Bellbrook, Sugar Creek Parks. But things like that can slip through the cracks real quick. That's my thought.
Anything else? Hearing nothing, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thanks for your attendance this evening, and sorry it took so long. Bye, everybody.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Good night.